Your questions have been collected and your comments have been read. Tonight, I'm going to answer those questions and I'm going to respond to your comments. These topics and a whole lot more on tonight's episode of The First Branch. During last Friday's episode, I guess I was an equal opportunity offender. Many of the questions and the comments I received highlight exactly why I'm not a fan of party politics. But I'll get to my thoughts on the problems with party politics later on in the show. For now, let's just get to answering your questions and responding to your comments. Question 1. I didn't understand that if the taxes on the rich can fund the whole thing, what's the purpose of taxing cell phones and gas? The example I gave in last week's episode showed the bill's potential. This was by no means an all-inclusive package. Also, I mentioned in the presentation how 44% of all American U.S. households don't even pay federal income tax. To increase the coverage along the concentration gradient, we need to have a way of including those 44% who are not contributing to the overall resources available. The more contributions, the greater the shared percentage. The lower the premiums and the greater the coverage. The success of this bill is then taking those savings of those monthly premiums and adding every employee to the employee-sponsored healthcare system. Again, only taxing at a rate that does not have a negative effect on the individual's economic potential. Question number 2. You say tax the first 2.5 million. What if someone only makes $1 million? Why should they suffer more than someone who earns more? If someone only has $1 million in personal wealth, then they will not even be required to pay the 6-year stimulus tax. The threshold is the $2.5 million in personal wealth. The reason behind this number is to ensure we do not tax an individual out of being a millionaire. I mean, it's not evil to be rich. And what we need to have is reasonable and responsible tax legislation that allows the rich to keep their wealth while providing means of support to those who are less fortunate. Question number 3. Why do you not mention mental health? Is that not a consideration? Simply put, I didn't just think about it. That's why I'm not submitting these recommendations in a vacuum. I'm asking each and every American to get involved in this process. So if you wish to add mental health provisions to the bill, please add it and then send that recommendation to your representatives. And doing it this way actually provides the Ways and Means Committee, the committee which is the chief tax writing committee of Congress, with more options to consider when drafting the actual legislation. I mean, this right here is exactly why I created this channel. It's a great question, and thank you to the one who submitted it. Question number 4. Did you purposely omit prescription drugs from your equation? I certainly did, and it's not because I fear Big Pharma. It's because pharmaceutical companies have a tremendous influence on how doctors prescribe treatment. And do we really want the federal government involved in that process? And another reason I purposely omitted prescription medication is due to the competitive market share of their treatment options. Now, we don't like to talk in those terms as compassionate human beings when we talk about medical care, but having a competitive drug market helps keep the cost of medications down. On average, my family pays roughly about $6 per prescription because we have a plan that actually allows us to default to purchasing generic brand medication. This is just one reason why I omitted it. Again, if you want to see it added to the bill, then by all means add it and submit it to your representatives. As long as the tax revenue and the protections are not altered, how the Ways and Means Committee votes to parcel out the funds of coverage, I'll accept that. That's up to them. That's why they're the lawmakers. The goal is to drive the cost of premiums down. What needs are met by the federal funds and what needs are met by the employer-sponsored healthcare providers is not what is at issue. That is what makes the shared percentage rule such a dependable system, especially a system that is diffused this way. As long as the percentages are met, it doesn't matter what the function is. So I listed 3 procedures in my presentation. Maybe your list is 12 in your recommendation. As long as the procedures do not exceed the need to resource threshold, premiums will drop and employers will be able to provide every worker that they employ with competitive healthcare coverage. Question number 5. Are you planning these recommendations in a vacuum all by yourself? And if so, are you not in effect becoming the dictator that you're trying to prevent? This is a very important question, and it's worth clarifying. And this one gets at the heart of what the American struggle truly is. We're tired of being told what to do by people who don't even really care about us. I am developing the solutions by myself, but they're not in a vacuum. I do reach out to external resources to get advice and seek wise counsel. However, to prevent becoming the dictator I despise, I publish these recommendations to y'all, then ask that you submit them to your representatives. If you find that there are any issues with these solutions, feel free to make the changes and then submit your recommendations along with the legislation. Again, my goal is to get the American people engaged in the political process. We need to stand up and tell Washington how we want to be governed. We are tired of being told how to live. So that's all of the questions that I received from y'all. Yep, I live in Texas, so I have to say y'all. If there are still any questions that you have, I'd love to see them in the comment section below, and I'll answer them in future episodes. Now, before we move on to me reacting to the comments I received, I'd like to take this time to remind you that if political problem solving is important to you, please cast your vote for this channel by hitting that subscribe button and clicking that bell icon to receive notifications on when we post new and exciting solutions to helping improve the quality of life for every American. Now, let's get to those wonderful comments that I received. Now, I'm just going to post all the comments right up here in bullet format on the screen, and I'm going to address them collectively. To break these down individually would just have me chasing my tail. Besides, there's really only one underlying theme through all of these statements anyway. And that theme is this. This proposal is not all capitalist or it's not all socialist. And since it's not all of one or all of the other, I don't want any of it at all. Like a spoiled brat at a birthday party who didn't get their ice cream, so he pouts and he huffs and refuses to eat his cake as well. Party politics has led to the death of problem solving here in America. We have to abandon the notion that it is our party affiliation that makes us right. Being a Republican doesn't make us right. Being a Democrat doesn't make us right. So what does? Well, the one thing that binds us all together, and that's natural law. I told you I was going to talk a lot about natural law on this channel. So when I read statements by capitalists that say there's going to be a mass exodus of wealth if we tax the rich, the first thing I do is I look at the evidence. And what the evidence does show, according to econlib.org, there has never been a greater than 3% increase in poverty rate since 1974, the year that I was born. You know what else I've never seen in this country? The poor hollowing out refrigerators to get to Cuba to escape economic depression. Also, since 1974, I have lived through 5 minor recessions and 1 Great Recession, that recession of 2007, which lasted a year and a half. You know what didn't happen during these times of recession? A mass exodus of wealth in America. And why have we not seen these things happen? Well, the free market economy. There's one great aspect to the free market that you just can't get in any other country, anywhere in the world, and that is potential. And as long as we do not disrupt that idea, there will always be wealth in this country, because potential breeds competition. The evidence shows that socialism is a failed system, yet the ideas of caring for each other is vital to the success of a society. The evidence also reveals that capitalism, while it is a better system, does fall short when not applied correctly. What's inhibiting true success in this country is the all-or-nothing concept of party politics. I don't look at the Republican Party to be my savior. I'm not looking at the Democrats either. I am looking to natural law, and I choose to give God the glory for creating the laws by which we can successfully govern. All the while, never demanding that one change their own personal belief. You want to be a Mormon? Be a Mormon. You want to be an atheist? By all means, be an atheist. You want to be a Baptist? Certainly go and be a Baptist. But the one thing we cannot escape is natural law. So the evidence, the science, and the math all show the Affordable Health Care Premiums Act will work. My hope is that we get this information to as many lawmakers as we can. And that's going to take each and every one of us to contact our representatives. And that's my hope, that we would do that, America. The Affordable Health Care Premium Act video did get shared by 5 people. That may not seem like a lot, but the journey of 1,000 steps begins with 1. So thank you to all those who did share it. I am truly grateful. And I hope this episode has provided some clarity to your questions and to your comments. Thanks again for taking the time to write and interact with us here at First Branch. And remember to hit that subscribe button and tap that bell icon to be notified of when we post new episodes. Thanks again for watching. Have a wonderful weekend, America, and God bless.